What to expect in a collaboration? Of course, I'm an artist. I'm more or less going to be talking about artistic collaboration, but this can apply to any kind of collaboration, business or otherwise. So, the first thing to establish, whether you have one person on your team, a multitude of people on your team, small team, large team, just another partner, whatever the case may be, the first and foremost thing, the thing to be decided upon is this project amateur or professional? Are you of the amateur mindset or are you of the professional mindset? Is this project or product going to be something of the amateur or something of the professional? So let's go ahead and clear some of this up. What do I mean by amateur? Well, it's not a bad thing, and amateur can be used disparagingly, I think, and I'm not using it in that way. I'm not saying anything bad about being an amateur. But when you're thinking of amateur or the amateur mindset, it's thinking of your skills, your craft, all that goes into your art as more of a hobby. It's more relaxed. You're not thinking of having a final project. You're not thinking of having a finished project. And you're certainly not thinking of having it in a business sense that you're working toward branding yourself or marketing yourself to provide a service, a skill, or an actual tangible piece of craft or a product. So this is very, very important to distinguish amateur from professional, not just you on the team, but also all your team members, people you are collaborating with. You can't go into the professional, or you can't think of this professionally minded or with a professional mindset, I should say. You can't think, okay, I'm going to have a final product. We're going to sell it as a service. We're going to sell it as a product to be valued and a project to sell, like painting or a film or a music album, whatever the case may be. You can't have that mindset, and then other people on the team, as skillful as they are, they can't have the amateur mindset saying, no, we're just having fun. I think the best example I can give is, I've had this experience as a musician where I want to play the violin for money. I love the violin to bits. I can play it for the rest of my life for free. I enjoy the performance and the playing that goes into different songs and classical repertoire, but I also can use it as a skill. I can use it as a service. I can charge a lot of money for my violin playing. And so if I have a few people that say, hey, we want to get you on a band here, we want you to play fiddle, and this has happened to me, we'll do rehearsing, we'll do performing, we'll record some albums and stuff like that. And I've been on the professional set where these are professionals and they mean business when they're out in a bar performing, or people are saying, nah, we just want to hang out and we just want to create some sounds. We just want to experiment. We're friends. We just want to have like a good time, and that's fine if you want to have a good time. But you can't go into that kind of setting with a band and be the person who said, well, I want to market ourselves. I want to market this thing as a band. I want to do rehearsing. I want to do live sessions. I do want to sell albums. I do want to sell merchandise. And then you have, 2 or 3 others in the band saying, oh no, we're just jamming. We're just having fun. It's just not going to work. There's going to be a lot of points of contention with something like that. So either everyone is on the amateur mindset saying, okay, we're doing this to have fun. We're doing this to hang out, or the professional mindset. Yes, we'd like to do this as a profession. We'd like to go on tour. We'd like to play at shows. We'd like to market ourselves as a legitimate band. So that's the first thing. Before vision, before passion, before the project itself, you got to decide if it's amateur or if it's professional. Amateur is not bad. Professional is not all there is. But it has to be decided between you and the person you're working with or the team of people you are working with. Now that we've established a professional mindset among your group of people, well, we do have to have a vision. So that's the first thing. Have a vision. It must be pretty unified. You must have the same idea, the same, I would say, level of excitement. So the vision must be the same. And I would say, this might sound pretty bold, pretty forward, but I think this is pretty important. Everyone must have the same vision in mind for the product, and they must share the same love and care for the final product. So, for example, if it's about making money for this one product, everyone must share the same philosophy when making a profit. You can't have someone in the group, for instance, this is kind of getting into the amateur mindset. You can't have someone in the group, as skillful as they are, say, well, I don't like the idea of making a profit of doing this, when everyone else is saying, no, we'd like to make this game to sell it. We'd like to make this album to sell it. So you have to be unified in that sense. So, if you have someone who has a negative view on making the profit, you might actually want to consider letting them go for their sake too. I don't think they would be comfortable with a group of people who have another vision in mind. Now, I would say that as I had said before, that is the amateur mindset. So make that distinction and be honest with yourself, and also honest with people around you. Have them be honest with you, whether they want to actually develop a game for fun as a hobby or develop a game to be sold in the market. I would actually say that the mindset, professional, amateur, actually will dictate the implementation of skills, which could negatively affect the group if it's more of the amateur mindset. So when I sell an album, the number one goal I have for selling an album is superior audio quality. Yeah, superior composition, no question. I am a composer. But at the end of the day, even if I'm not entirely satisfied with my composing or my composition pieces, knowing it'll get better in the future, the one thing I want in that product is audio quality, like superior audio quality. Audio quality that just does not get. I do have a standard, so anything I catch, I'm like, okay, let's nip this in the bud. It could be like high frequency leaking or aliasing, or too much reverb or too much delay. So, even if the composition is not quite what I want good audio quality. That's my professional mindset. So my professional mindset dictates the implementation of my skills. And so that positively contributes to the production of my music album. Someone with an amateur mindset may have the same amount of skills as I have as a composer. But if they don't have the same idea, like, oh, I want this to be a polished product, I'm just doing this for fun, it actually would dictate how they go about things. Could actually render something maybe half-hearted or careless or whatever the case may be. So everyone must share the same or similar passion, care, and love for the project or the product. And I would say that when this happens, the best skills, the best effort, and the best use of resourcefulness takes place. I think all of this takes place. All right, so that's your vision. So you are unified, you have the same vision. The next is skill. When you have a professional mindset and your team of people have the same professional mindset, it's really, really important. I've experienced this myself too. It's really important to have a team of people who are at the same level of skill. It doesn't need to be the same level of skill in a field. So I'm a good composer, and yeah, maybe I would also collaborate with a composer who is just as competent in music as I am. But it could also be an animator. It can be a programmer. It could be a concept artist. It could be a writer. The person should be on the same level of competence in writing, for instance, as I am in composing. So everyone more or less should be at the same skill level. For instance, my mastering engineer is very, very good at what he does. This is important to me as a composer who is skilled in electronic music. He just has a knack for detail. He has a very a good sense of hearing, very cute sense of hearing. He just knows what to pick up. He knows what the composer wants. I don't know how he collaborates with other artists under his label, but with me, it's like, oh, you want this? Okay, I'm gonna give this to you. Okay, let's try this. Okay, you want me to experiment with this? How does this sound? And when I say, hey, it doesn't work, then he's fine. He's ready to either fix it or move on. And he's very, very patient. This is a professional engineer I'm working with. And it makes me also professional. It makes me want to do things and say things that help him along the road as well. Make it easy for him. I don't ever want to be that artist that inconveniences him. So that's very important. Whoever you're working with, whatever they do, it can be completely different from what you do, but they have to be the same or very similar, very close level of skill in their field. This is my experience as an artist. I would say it's very uncomfortable to be in a collaboration where you are not as skilled in your field as people are in their fields, in their respective fields. I was in it was kind of embarrassing. I'll never forget it. I was in this freelance work where I thought I had the chops. I thought I had the chops for composing and sound design. And it was for a podcast for someone in Australia. And he got back to me and he was really disappointed because it was so subpar. And that was 5 years ago. I'd have looked at it and I would be thinking, oh, that really is subpar. I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking trying to get that professional podcast sound. So I was really embarrassed by the whole thing. He reprimanded me. He wasn't happy. It just didn't feel good. And we kind of called it quits there. So I was in the position where I was not as skilled as he was in his profession, whether that was podcast, radio personality, whatever the case may be. It could be vice versa. You could find yourself wanting to collaborate with people, but they are not at the skill level that you are at with your craft. And so to make things easier, just kind of gauge it. I'm not asking you to be a professional or critic on a speciality that is not yours, but kind of gauge, like say, oh, like are they intermediate? Are they at an advanced level? Are they professional? Are they just starting? Maybe they just want to start with you, but you've got 10 years of experience and they have maybe 6 months, 8 months experience. So kind of watch out for that, because it can be you could find yourself in a very uncomfortable position when the skill levels are not the same or even close. So we've got vision and skill. The next is responsibility. Everyone must have a healthy sense of time and honor deadlines. So if you have a plan to create art on a prolific scale, the rest of the team should too. So what do I mean by prolific? Is this a one-time shot with the team? Or are you thinking of developing other things with the team? Maybe it's a game developer wanting to do another project after the game is finished. Maybe it's a band who wants to do a single track, or maybe like a mono track of 60 minutes or something like that. Or maybe a 10-track music album. Do people have in mind to keep working with you? Is it a one-time thing, or are they, do you guys have chemistry? Do you guys think, oh yeah, let's keep working at this. Let's keep getting better at what we do. This is our first project. Let's keep working down the months, down the years. We've got vision, skill, and responsibility. Also time. It's really best if you've worked with a person a number of months and years. Just knowing their sensibilities, your sensibilities with all that. If you're new, if you're just starting out, you and your team must understand the time and effort that goes into a project. That comes with personal artistic experience. So before knowing this mastering engineer and also his label, I had been composing a number of weeks and months and practicing every day and getting the sense of, okay, how do I structure a piece? How do I add instrumentation? How do I finish a piece? So that actually takes personal artistic experience. So if you're on your own right now, whether drawing or writing, sketching, all that good stuff, you already know. If you've practiced a long time, and I've seen people, like Dr. Y, for instance, you have an idea of how long a sketch takes. You have an idea of how long the coloring takes. You know your software, you know your routine. So be honest and be transparent with someone saying, hey, this is how long it takes me to do this. And let them be transparent about that with you too. So know your time, know how much time, have enough self-awareness of like, okay, this takes this time, this takes this time. I'll get back to you in this week and all of that. So if you're new, that's what I would say up front, have that honesty, have that transparency between all of you saying, hey, it takes me this time. It takes me this amount of time, this amount of days to complete this assignment you're wanting and all of that. And on self-awareness, that's the other thing. Know what you don't know and be honest about that. Know what you don't know and say it with all transparency. Also have your team members be transparent on what they know and don't know. So for instance, if someone approached me, let's say a game developer approached me for a mobile game, and they liked my composing, they liked my music. They said, we could really use your music for these puzzle games, or maybe some world building for this computer game. I think I could do that. I think I have, if they want the electronic music style, I think I could do that pretty well. I could adapt. Of course, it'd be a huge learning curve for me for this kind of intensive collaboration, but I think I could adapt. The same is true with a commercial, whether it's me doing a voiceover with my speaking or my music. I'm comfortable with providing attractive music to things like commercials, like, a real estate commercial. Like, let's look at these beautiful homes and listen to this beautiful music. I could do that. I could do that pretty well. What I wouldn't be comfortable with is a film. So if someone approached me, a film producer or filmmaker, and they said, hey, we want to do a historical documentary on, this event, this group of people in the late 1800s, but we want an orchestral score. Will you do it? I would actually decline and try to find them another candidate, because I have not worked with orchestrating with the orchestra in 10 or more years. I just do not have the chops to score for an entire orchestra. I can score for a string quartet, I can score for an ensemble, but that still would take a lot of time for me. Whereas if, let's say it's a documentary on a kind of mysterious hummingbird or something, it's like a nature documentary. Well, I think then I could, because that kind of setting could rely more on the electronic sound. But any project regarding the orchestral score, even a gaming project, I would say you're going to have to find someone else, because I'm really fast in electronic music. I am not fast in orchestra music. This would take a lot of relearning before I could ever get back into like the Howard Shore territory, composing for Lord of the Rings and all that. I just know my skills well enough to say, hey, let me find you another candidate. And so, yes, have self-awareness and be honest, and also have other people be honest what they can do, what they can't do, what they're comfortable with, what they're uncomfortable with, and also, really what they know, what they don't know. It's all about transparency and self-awareness. And finally, communication. Communication. Always, with every exchange, with every meeting, with every email, with every text, always have decorum. Show decorum. Be kind. Be responsible. Be polite. Be clear with what you want in the collaboration, but always, always be kind and patient. Problems do happen. They do happen, and it's best not to burn any bridges. That was one thing that I had a supervisor. I'll never forget him. He, no matter how bad the situation was with a project, he was a project manager supervisor. He would always say, no matter how bad it is, I want to exit the project without burning any bridges. So that's the best thing you can do also in a collaboration is show respect, show decorum, be kind, be clear, be transparent, and always be professional.